Hi, and welcome to A Drummer's Guide to, the podcast all about the things that it takes to be a professional musician aside from actually playing your instrument. My name is Emily Dolan Davies. I have been playing drums since 1999, professionally since 2008, and helping others do the same since 2018, and that is why we are here today. So today's episode is inspired by a post that I saw a friend of mine put up, and I thought that is such a fantastic concept. It's from Kira Chinia. So she is a fantastic drummer. She also puts on these amazing drum camps specifically for women. She has also written a drum book about odd time signatures, which is fantastic. We have known each other for a very long time. I think we probably met when I think I was like 18, maybe younger. I'm not sure. And I think it was on a TV gig we did, maybe? I can't remember. You know when you've just known someone for so long, it's like, I don't know how this started, but here we are many, many years later. She is a fantastic human. I've got all the time in the world for her, so go check her out. Kira Drums. Just look up Kira Drums. She also has a podcast as well, actually. I think it's called The Drumming Mamas, I think. It's really interesting, though. Whenever I see clips, I'm like, ooh, very cool. But anyway, right, on with what she posted that I was like, this is amazing. So I've written it down word for word because I didn't want to butcher it as I often do. So the concept of this whole episode is advice I would give you if I wasn't afraid of hurting your feelings. And I just thought, she did a post about it on Instagram. And I just thought I needed to do an episode on this. It's such an amazing concept, and it partly is a reflection on me because I think we all do. We struggle to, say things that are maybe could be seen as negative towards someone, or although of course I'm always trying to help people, and especially my students and all of that. But I definitely, I will word things in a way that is kind of, I just don't want to be offensive, basically. We're all on our own journeys. We've all got stuff to do, stuff to deal with. But I thought, this is a really good way to just sort of let it out in a really blunt way. What I will say is that if any of these things that I speak about, if it gets your back up, or you're like, oh, that's ridiculous, or, any negative kind of reaction, I would implore you to maybe just think a little deeper on that. Maybe it is something that you've been avoiding. Some of these things are things, in fact, many of these things are things that I've been guilty of in the past, for sure. And I had exactly that reaction when, or if someone mentioned it, brought it up, I would get very defensive very, very quickly. So yeah, let me just caveat the whole episode with that, and just, like I say, invite you to notice your reaction to, because some of these you'll be like, well, whatever, because it's not something that you struggle with. But like I say, it would be interesting to look at the things that do make you go, what? No, that's me as a teenager, by the way. That is definitely my reaction back in the day. Sometimes still now, I'll be honest, but I try to act a little more together and adult, but I feel like we're all big children masquerading as adults sometimes. But anyway, so let's start out with this. So the first one I'm gonna say kind of covers all of this, and maybe sort of supports the idea of looking into any of these that might be making you react, should we say. And this is the idea that if you keep doing what you're doing, keep doing more of what you're doing, you're going to get more of what you get. And this is definitely I think it's a global one for a lot of us, and not just in our playing or our career. I think just in life generally, we think that we just need to do more of what we've been doing to get a different result. And I know there's that famous Einstein quote, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. It seems very obvious. It doesn't mean that we don't do it. I don't know why. I'm sure that there's a reason, but there is definitely more comfort in just doing more of what you know and hoping for a different result. And for me, for years I did that. For years I was just doing the same thing and just going, oh, at some point it will change. At some point my career will happen. At some point something will break in a good way. And I would just double down on everything that I was doing. I, exhausted myself. I made myself unwell. And that was purely because I was trying to avoid the very things that I should have been working on, that I was having, negative reactions if people brought them up to me. So I want to start out by saying that, to hopefully make you open to maybe looking at these things, which is, if you do more of the same, you're going to get more of what you're going to get, or what you're getting already. So maybe be open to looking at these, noticing if you're reacting, and go from there. So I've written these down so that I actually remember all of them, because there are a few, and like I say, a lot of these are things that I have struggled with, and I will go through also what I have done to tackle them, make them, and a lot of the stuff I've spoken about on different episodes, so you'll recognize a lot of these. I suppose they're just a little collated. So the first one is, and again, I think that this was the biggest one for me growing up. You look boring or bored when you're playing. And I think, like I say, this I think is certainly was the biggest one for me. I think it's a big one for a lot of people. And for me, growing up, I think a few things. I think many things. I don't know whether you've noticed. So when we grow up, a lot of us start our instruments sort of in our early teens or just before our teenage years. And I think that coupled with the social pressures, should we say, of looking cool and not being bothered, like, nothing bothers us, whatever, makes us not perform on stage, not move on stage, try to be small, at least in my experience. I'm sure there are people that go on the other end of the spectrum, but certainly people like drummers, bass players for sure, keys players, we are inside of ourselves. Maybe guitarists might go the other way. I know a lot of guitarists that are very inside themselves as well, very small, they don't want to, create a fuss. Singers, slightly different maybe. But on the whole, I think that because we've all learnt the majority of our instrument in our teenage years, the element of physical expression may be stifled. Again, this is a complete hypothesis. I have no basis on this aside from what I've seen and what I've experienced myself. But I look back at videos of me playing as a teenager, and when I tell you, I just look so bored. And I'd love to tell you that, I would say, this is the thing that I hear so much, and I used to say this, it's just what I look like when I play. I don't have a choice in this. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. We all have a choice in this. We do. You will have to work on it, but you have a choice, and you can choose to smile or look enthused or sing along or move your body when you're playing. You can choose to do that. You can use it as an excuse that this is just me. Okay, that's fine, but you are undermining your own potential by choosing to ignore this. And I know, oh my gosh, when I tell you, there's one in particular guitarist that I grew up with, I've known for so many years, haven't seen in many years to be fair. He was a fantastic guitarist, fantastic, virtuoso style, great feel, great playing, but he would spend the whole gig, whatever gig we would see him at, and I would play with him as well, he'd be literally staring at his shoes and no emotion outwardly. Emotion in his playing. If you close your eyes, you'd be like, my goodness, that's incredible. And then you open your eyes and, oh, he looks really bored. And it just... that is the thing that let him down, I think. He never really broke it. He played in a band for a little bit that did something, but he could have been so successful, but he just got in his own way. He wasn't willing to explore expressing himself physically through his instrument. You look at the greatest guitarist, for instance. Let's take Prince. I love Prince. And You watch him play guitar. Obviously, he's a fantastic guitarist, but he knows how to perform. He knows how to run about stage. He's very dynamic. And I think if you bring that to your playing, it's only going to serve you in a great way. And the thing is, it's not about necessarily having that and using it to, level 10, level 11 every time. It's the capacity to do it. So you can choose to do it. You can still have those very insular, inward moments. That's fine. But you're choosing them. You're not you're not beholden to them. I'm not sure if that's the right turn of phrase, but you're not being stifled by your lack of ability to go outside of your comfort zone, as it were, and just make your comfort zone bigger, basically. It's a lot more fun when you have a lot more options as well, because this is the other thing that I found, certainly with me, definitely with my students as well, is that by allowing yourself to move when you play your instrument, you connect more with the music, with your instrument, with the audience. And one of my students said this to me literally, I think it was last month, and I just thought, God, this is it, and this is how I felt, and I couldn't articulate it at the time. As soon as I started moving when I was playing and allowing myself to emote, it was the first time that I didn't feel like an imposter as a musician. It was like I was finally like, oh, yes, I'm really doing this now. And I'm embarrassed to say, it was not that long ago for me that I actually sort of really connected with what I was doing. And I felt so truly in the moment and just right there. And I was like, yeah, this is it. This is it. I get it now. I get it. It was that thing that I was striving for that felt so elusive. But what it was a kind of disconnection between my instrument, the music, the audience, the situation, the present moment. And I think it's because I was so busy being inside of my head trying to act like the thing that it left no room to actually just act like the thing. Just let it go, let it happen. And freeing myself in a way, freeing myself from trying to be small, constrict myself as a player, as a person. And I think once I lent into that, and for me, I lent into exploring the movement, and then the emotion came afterwards, and it all kind of lined up. So I would highly recommend exploring that. And I do have dedicated episodes on performance, so I would look into that. But essentially the crux of it is start filming yourself and watching it back. And be brutally honest with yourself. Don't be asking any other people, I don't need you to do anything. You can do whatever you want. But I find it useful that you are informed by your own opinions about your playing and your performance. Be honest with yourself. Don't look to other people for their opinions necessarily when it comes to your personal expression, should we say, especially behind your instrument. And the relationship between a musician and their instrument is I find it for me, it's very sacred, it's very unique, it's very personal. So keep it personal, and you will see that people will start to notice these things in a very, very positive way. I've never had anyone, not a single student, I've never had a single experience where when I started moving more and started expressing more and performing more, I've never had a negative reaction. I've never heard of a negative reaction. All that's ever happened is positive upon positive upon positive experiences for people that then reinforces, oh, this does work, this is a thing. So I would really, really recommend you sort of look into that. So stop looking bored when you play. Even just a smile. Honestly, it just works wonders. Just look like you're enjoying it if you are enjoying it. If you're not enjoying it, well, maybe there's something else you need to look at. But just, emote. Allow the emotions to flow. Okay, so that's the first one. The next one is your online presence is letting you down. This is a really, really, really big one for a lot of students that come to me, because a lot of them are really fantastic players, but I do this thing. So whenever I have a discovery call with people, I will wait until the day, And literally 10 minutes before we're due on the call, I will jump on whatever social media platform they're using, whatever social media they have. And I just look at it with fresh eyes and I go, right, who is this person? What vibe am I getting from this person? What do they do? Blah, 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 blah. And then I relay it back to them often on the call and just say, look, just so you know, because I don't know you and this is how you're presenting. And obviously we've spoken now and I know a bit about you, let me tell you. And this is 95% of the time. Your online profile, presence, what you're projecting is not in line with who you are, what you're telling me and the goals that you have. Like those two things are very separate. So I would really, really, really be aware of your online presence, and usually, when people talk about that, they sort of center around, don't say anything controversial, blah, 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 blah. I'm not talking about that. It's more about, and I've spoken about this in previous episodes, like if I go to someone's profile, let's say they're a drummer, I think I've cited this fairly recently. Let's say that they're a drummer and I go on their profile and I don't see a single thing about them drumming. I'm like, well, you're not a drummer. You're not professional, clearly, because you're not serious about this. This is not, you're not showing me who you are. You're not even showing me that you're a drummer, let alone can you play, or what kind of gigs are you playing, or who are you playing with, what kind of styles do you play, how do you play, how do you perform? Forget about that. That's like the platinum standard compared to some of the profiles that I see that are literally like pictures of dogs or their holidays or food. And whilst I love all those things, they're wonderful. If I'm someone that is trying to look for a drummer and I want to employ them, that is like, it's not even a red flag. It's like, I don't even know, bigger than a red flag. A red parachute. It's wild to me how often I see that. Either that or their profile is private and I'm like, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. You're showing me nothing, like literally nothing. So yeah, I would definitely look at that. And then in terms of if you do have a few sort of like, if you're a drummer, a few drumming things on your profile, I would really just make it all about the fact that you are a drummer. Obviously, if you have a personal Instagram, say, that's fine. Keep your personal one, but start a professional one. Start a professional one that is showcasing you as a player, presenting yourself like, I am serious about this. This is what I do. This is my job. This is my life. This is my day-to-day. It's important. It's really important. No one's gonna, even bother if they're serious about their music. They need someone to work with that is serious about their music too, if that makes sense. So the way that you present yourself online is so important. It's so important. And, it doesn't matter how well you might get on with someone. Let's say you meet someone out and about a gig and you get on really well, you chat, if they then look at your profile and there ain't a single thing about you drumming, that's going to be a big mark against you. Let me tell you, it really is. I've had it happen. And then in terms of what is actually on your profile, like I say, posts of you playing, what kind of gigs you're playing. If you have a studio set up, record some cool tracks that sound good. Look at your performance, make sure you look like you're enjoying what you're doing. For sure, that does help. Or just emoting. It doesn't even need to be enjoyment, because I'm not one for, put on the smile even though you're miserable. No, don't do that. Just emote something, like just passion. We just want passion. That's all it is. So yeah, and just try to have on your head of, who is this for? Like, always have your audience in mind. You are there to showcase yourself. What do those people want to see? And then go from there, basically. So that's the online thing. So make sure that it's stopped. Don't let it undermine your online presence, for sure. The next one is your playing sounds unstable and unconfident. And I'm very lucky in that I don't often come across this, I'll be honest. But sometimes I do come across videos where the playing, it does just sound a bit wobbly. Like, especially for a drummer, right? And I say this often, the drummer is like the foundation, the bedrock of the band. And therefore, you need to be the most solid, confident player, like what, even if you're doing, well, in fact, the simplest stuff is the easiest stuff. So if you just want to be the most like, gat, gat, just solid, like the solidest, thickest foundation that you can give to the other musicians on stage. And that doesn't come just with sound. Again, this does come with performance, confidence, you know, not being inwards and timid when you're playing, like, gat. And I need you to move with your whole body, not just like your arms as minimally as possible. You need to exude that confidence in your playing to bring confidence to the people around you, basically. Like I say, that can be a kind of projection of confidence to make you, or make those around you sort of feel your confidence. Or if your physical playing is unstable, then you need to look at getting back to the click, getting back to, and this is any instrument, getting back to the click, getting back to playing to records and recording yourself and listening back, and just keep doing that until you feel that it sounds solid and like on it. And if you're playing to records, you are locked in with the drummer on the track. I know a lot of people are using Moises now, that I think is fantastic. I think there is still benefit to be playing to the drummer on track as well, just so you can really lock in. And then maybe you play without the track with just the rest of the music, and lock in with that. But please be critical. I've seen some people that have put up videos of them playing to songs using Moises, and they are far from locked in on the track, but they don't hear it. And I don't actually understand why. I can't comprehend, like, I don't know, because it's very obvious to me that it's not, but they obviously felt happy enough that they've posted it, which is fine. It's, you know, it's up to them at the end of the day. But I think, like I say, there's still a ton of benefit of playing to the drummer on track. You know, you're ostensibly kind of mimicking the drummer on track. You are locking in with them, and from that I think that you learn things. Like, I really do believe that you learn how to place the beat, you know, within the band. Again, sorry, I'm talking very drummer centric here, but same with guitar, same with bass, same with keys. Like, there is value in really recreating that sound, and that could be the actual sound as well as the playing, if that makes sense. So the sound of the drums, the sounds of the keys, or whatever else. So I think yes, I think if you're unstable, record yourself, listen back. Record yourself, listen back, and repeat. That's it. The 3 R's: record, review, repeat. I had to really think for a second then. Record, review, repeat. Just do that over and over again, and soon enough your playing will become more stable, more confident, and you'll know that in yourself. Because this is the other thing, and it kind of brings me on to my next point, that sometimes you don't look confident in yourself, and you don't sound confident in yourself. And I'm not talking about your playing there. That's more about when you're presenting yourself to, let's say, an audition situation. And I used to think that okay, so hold on. I need a coffee because, yes. When I was younger, I was, and when I say younger, I mean, this is only recently that I've stopped doing this, embarrassingly recently. And I still do this sometimes. So one of my biggest fears growing up was to seem arrogant. And I don't know where this came from. I don't know whether I was just exposed to arrogant people. I was like, oh, I don't like that. I don't know where this came from. So I very much grew up with this thing of, if someone complimented me, complimented my playing, anything around that, I'd just be like, oh, no, like, you know, no, it's not me. Everyone else that's great. I'm just here. Like, I just exist. Don't mind me. Like, very, what I would have in the past described as humble. I thought that was being humble. As I've grown older, I've realised that, yeah, it could be seen like that. But actually, now as I sit here, I would see that more as unconfident in yourself and your ability, And if you come at any situation like that, especially if it's kind of an audition or something around that, that's going to undermine your chances, because people want people that are confident in their ability and they own it and they make other people feel safe. I think that this is what it all comes down to in your playing, in your presentation of yourself, whether it's on your instrument or just in a conversation. There needs to be an element of the person that is going to hire you feels like you're a safe pair of hands. Now, like I say, it took me a long time, an embarrassingly long amount of time to realize the importance of this confidence. And I'm talking like, it's probably really only in the last sort of 4 years I've realized this and just tried to lean into it. And like I said, I catch myself still in certain situations where I'm like, oh no, no, it's not me, like, don't worry, and I know where it comes from, but at the same time, I'm like, no, I think that this is why I haven't gotten certain gigs in the past, because if I'm coming to people just going, oh no, I'm not that good really, I just play drums, I'm just this, I just do this. And they're like, well, okay, if you're just that, I'm going to go to this person over here who knows what they're doing, because that's what it comes across as. And I see this a lot with my students, and they sort of undermine themselves, the way they speak about themselves to me, and I'm just like, no, we need this to be, you need to present as a very, like, you're competent. I would understand if you genuinely, you are still working on your bit, obviously we're all still working on our instruments, but if you weren't competent, I could understand. But if you've been doing this for a long time, look, to a point you know what you're doing, and it's not about arrogance, it's about experience. It's just, I've just done it a lot, and that's what I defer back to now. There are certain situations that I know I am a safe pair of hands, and I don't say that with arrogance. I say it because I've just done so much of it that it's part of me, it's in my blood. There are other things that I am not confident with, and I absolutely blag, but I can show enough confidence in the way that I play that unless you're an aficionado, you probably wouldn't question it. You'd just be like, yeah, she knows what she's doing, and that's fine. I'll take that. And I'm not pretending like I'm the best everything or anything even. I'm not. I've always said that. But there are some things that I just know how to do. It's just because I've done it loads. So, and that's how I reconcile that sort of push and pull between feeling unconfident and confident. And like I say, all of these are things that I have struggled with and things that I have avoided and done anything in the world to avoid at any one time. So I think that thing of how you speak about yourself, especially to other people, and confidence in that, and presenting yourself as a safe pair of hands and confident in your abilities and what you can do. If you're presenting in that humble way that I was, and humble in inverted commas if you're listening and not watching, that could actually be undermining your chances to get through the door, get into different musical situations that you might want to be in. So yeah, I would really look at the words you're using, basically, and how, even just the way you stand. Like, it's simple. We all know, shoulders back, stand tall. What is it? As a guitarist, in fact, I never worked with him, but love him to bits, and he always say, come on, chin up, chest out, duck. That's what he used to say. Chin up, chest out, duck. And I was just like, all right, yeah, confident. At least in theory. At that time, definitely not confident. This was a very long time ago. But anyway, right. So the next thing. So, this one is one that I probably have been guilty of in small little pockets of time, but I've really been seeing this a lot recently. I don't know why. Maybe it is a reflection on me. Maybe I'm being like this right now and I don't realize it. Your negativity is holding you back. Okay, this one is really, I'm struggling with this at the moment because, as I say, I've been seeing quite a bit of this. And I know that, you know, the world is a crazy place. It is a crazy place. But let's keep this to the professional side of music, right? And I've been hearing a lot recently. Oh, and to be fair, I've heard this a lot over the years from various people, but for some reason it's very concentrated at the moment. Oh, there's no work. Nobody's going on tour. I don't know anyone that's working. Everyone's complaining that they can't make ends meet. You know, all this kind of negative stuff. And whilst, yes, there is some truth in it, if you start focusing on those narratives, there's something called confirmation bias, which basically is that whatever you tell yourself or you believe or whatever else, you are more likely to only see cases of that to support your belief. And that scares the bejesus out of me, because when I hear people talk about this, it makes me think, oh my gosh, now you're only going to see people that are not working and you're going to believe that that is the truth. Let me tell you, it's not the truth. People are working. I have so many friends who are constantly working. They are, and it doesn't, like, it can be the big gigs on the huge stages. It can be in the pubs and the clubs and everything in between, the theatre shows, People are working. But, you know, I've had people come to me who categorically are saying nobody's working. And I'm like, they definitely are. I literally got asked to do a gig yesterday, like a tour, like with a fairly big artist. The work is there. The work is there. And you know what? Even if the work wasn't there, this confirmation bias thing, I believe that you need to, and someone told me this a long time ago, they said at some point you just need to have blind faith. And I just was like, look, I'm not a religious person, but I was like, I'll take it. I'll take it. At that stage I was like, I'll take anything I can get. So I was just like, all right, no, yeah, blind faith, this is going to work out, it's going to happen, blah 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 blah, there is work, I'm going to find a way. And this is what I would tell myself, and I swear to you that has taken me through so many difficult times. And it is literally when I get to that point of desperation, something is just around the corner. It really, really is. And like I say, I think it's the same the other way around. So if you're telling yourself there's no work, you're telling yourself there's no gigs, you're telling yourself that nobody needs a drummer or a bass player or a guitarist or a keys player, blah, 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 you're not going to be open. And I have a big thing about being open to things, and whether you believe that in a cosmic energy way, which I often do, or just generally being open to opportunities, you will find reasons that that is not the opportunity for you, or you just won't see it. So I think that the kind of attitude that you come at things with, the beliefs that you have, the things that you're telling yourself, really, really affect what you see. Like I say, look up confirmation bias. It's a fascinating theory. And as I say, it's something that I am seeing playing out in front of my eyes multiple times over. And if that's, you know, if you just think, if that's the thing that's holding you back, it's okay, it's a small thing and it's a big thing, because it is a belief, which is a huge thing, let's face it. But it is also just a perception. So you can change your perception. You can always change your perception. Nothing is absolute, like when it comes to things like that. It's all our interpretation of what's happening. So if you can find people that are working, that are gigging, that are making a living, that are doing the thing, and use them as a beacon of like, yep, people are working, and I will be like that person. I will be with them soon. I will be working just like them. I will have more work, blah, 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 blah. I think if you open yourself up to that, it is really, really, really going to help your chances to be out there doing the thing. So yeah, negative kind of this attitude of nobody's working, I think it's so detrimental, and it's so, on paper, I'm going to say on paper, it's so simple on paper, because obviously beliefs can be hard to shift. But I think it makes a huge difference. And even how you, let's say you believe that there's no work, no one's going on tour, but then you get an audition and you're like, oh yeah, but I'm not going to get that audition because there's no work, and there's going to be like 500 people that want to come and, you know, audition, and I'm just going to be one of them, and no one's going to, you know, they're not going to hire me. Yeah, they probably won't if you come in with that attitude, because even on a subconscious level, people can feel that vibe. They really can. And yeah, even if they don't realize it, and yeah, you might not get it because of that, and then you'll just say, see, and that's more like proof that you're correct in your thinking, and it's spiraling, and oh my gosh, it's hard. It's so hard. So, like I say, it's a simple concept. It's a difficult concept if you are really telling yourself and you really believe that there is no work. But I can only tell you that there really is. I've got so many friends that are working constantly, so much. And it's not because they have all the gigs, by the way. Yeah, that's why there aren't any gigs, because your friends have got all the gigs. Well, look, someone has to have the gigs. It could be you. Get out there and sort out your brain. Sorry, too harsh. Too harsh. This is what I mean. If I wasn't afraid of hurting your feelings, but here I am just spouting. Okay, so the next thing is you can't do this alone. And this was something that I was really, really guilty of. And I think it was the last episode I was talking about this, about building your team. No, it's 2 episodes ago, I think. I thought that I had to do this alone. I thought that, it was down to me to create my career, and obviously to a point it is, but you need people around you. You need people to help guide you, show you the way, have support, And here's where my issue comes in, right? I had, and no, I don't now actually, but I had really bad social anxiety to the point that I wouldn't call people, I'd do anything to not have to interact with someone in real time. Messaging, fine. Email, fine. Social media, fine. Picking up the phone to call? Absolutely not. Not in a million years. Meeting up for a drink? Oh, maybe. But, this thought of human interaction was just such a scary thing to me. I'm a little bit better now due to medication, thank you. So it made me realise that, no, you can't do these things alone. If I was struggling with something practical, like let's say, I spoke about this before, when I started using electronics in my setup, and I would struggle through this kind of like working it out by myself and get really frustrated and get confused and not even know what I'm looking for. And literally it would have been solved if I'd have made one phone call or met up with one person, which I did end up doing once, and it was fantastic. It was an hour and I learned everything I needed to know and have ever needed to know on this one unit for the whole of the time that I've used it, which is 12 years now, 13 years now. And it was 1 hour of meeting up with a mate as well. It was really fun. It was really nice. So yeah, I would say just be aware of the fact that you can't do this alone. This is a sociable business. It is, and it is a business. The music business is all about relationships. That is it. And it is about getting your mates in on gigs. That is the vibe. So you can't do this alone. This is not an isolated thing. I know that there are a lot of, obviously, online players in terms of like YouTube famous drummers or Instagram famous drummers, and they literally spend their life in their room doing the thing, but even they have a team of people, whether it be people supporting them like emotionally, but they have relationships with all their followers. They do. Like, it's not a isolated thing. It can't be. It's just, that's not what music is. Music's about connection. That's it. That's literally the baseline. But anyway, so that's my thing about you can't do this alone. And again, I have an actual dedicated episode about that. I think it's called Building Your Team, something like that. I don't know. I actually can't remember. But oh no, that's what it's called, the Lone Wolf Trap. That's it. I was trying to be clever. So I think we've only got 2 more to go. So don't worry, because I know we're 39 minutes in. Awesome. So your priorities are undermining your goals. And this is one, again, that I come up against very infrequently, because I think the majority of people that want to do this thing, they are so obsessed by their instrument that it is just, there is no other way. Like, that is their life. But very occasionally I come across people, and I had this when I was a teenager, when I was like 15, for about 4 months probably, where I was going out with mates, discovering boys and like go down McDonald's and go and hang out. But I soon got over it because I was like, no, I actually hated it. And I was like, no, I like my drums. Let me go back to my drums. And that was kind of one of those turning points for me that I was like, no, drums is all the thing. But I do find it now with adults sometimes where, and I've actually played with people like this who they would rather be like down the pub, for instance, with their mates rather than practicing their instrument or going out to jam nights and meeting people or playing gigs or, and whilst there is obviously a limit in terms of priorities. If you have a family, you have to balance that. And I'm all for that, for sure. But there are certain priorities, like if you'd rather spend your money on something frivolous versus, some equipment that's going to help you, or spend your money on lessons in your instrument to, progress you, or anything else. Just how you choose to spend your time as well, I think it's important to prioritize the time that you need. That you should be prioritizing time for these things if you're serious about it. Equally, I will also say prioritize rest time. Do not overdo it. I did that, I got sick. I wouldn't recommend it. And I think you only really find that out by going too far one way, maybe multiple times in my case, and then coming back from it to find that balance. And I feel like I'm finally getting the balance, I think. I don't know, it's taken a long time. But it might be worth just looking at, right, and whilst, like I say, do have a life, obviously, but there does need to be considerable investment I'm always going to talk about time, actually, investment of time in your career. And that might look like investing time in doing social media, which you might not want to be doing, but it is part of our jobs now. That is your way to promote yourself. It is a good use of time, better than just nipping down the pub for the evening or whatever else, and the impact that might have long term. So that's that. The final thing that I have to say is it's not your ability that's the problem, it's everything else. So there are, like I said to you, it's kind of like, it's not your ability, it's everything else. See the last 41 minutes that I've just been speaking about this. People really do emphasize the playing side of it. And yes, to a point, of course you have to be able to play. Of course you do. But I'm telling you now, the majority of the people that are working, like, they're at a standard. But there are so many other people outside of the professional capacity that are also at that standard. So you've got to think about, what is the difference? What is the difference that they've done that has gotten them in that position? Because it's not about the playing. It's so far more far-reaching than the playing. The playing will always continue to develop and evolve and all of that. But if you're looking to work, let's be completely honest here. The gigs that you're going to be doing, if you want to be working consistently, generally speaking, they're not going to be rocket science. They're not. But it's how you play those gigs that actually makes a difference. It's how you find those gigs that makes the difference. That is what's going to make your career. It's not going to be necessarily how many notes you can play in a bar. If anything, that will undermine you getting a gig. So yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents. I don't think it's 2, it's probably like 12 cents there on the situation. But like I say, I wanted to say thank you again to Kira for inspiring this episode. And as I mentioned at the beginning, if any of those things that I spoke about made you go, oh, that's absolute rubbish, look further into it. Get inquisitive. Just look at why you might be feeling like that, and maybe just try something different with it. Maybe try and look at it and challenge it and see how you feel about it. Because from my experience, when I felt like that, when I felt kind of defensive, it's often the biggest thing that I'm avoiding, definitely. And that's hard to hear, it's hard to face, and you have to kind of get over your own ego sometimes. You have to change your way of thinking sometimes. It's hard. It doesn't, just by noticing it doesn't make it easy. But I will say it makes the difference, and it is the difference between people that will be successful in this industry and not. Like, if you're willing to examine it, like I say, just get curious about it and just go, I wonder why. Well, let me try something different and just see. Like, you might like it. It might enrich your life even further. And that's all that I really want for you, is like, I just want you to have not just the best career that you can, but just the best experience with your instrument that you can, because it goes, it's so much more far reaching than just creating a career. It's everything that comes with being a creative, I suppose, and that's the blessing, the curse, la-di-da-di-da, you know the thing. But yeah, I feel like if any of these have made you feel some type of way, that's a clue. So yeah, maybe look into that. But anyway, I hope this episode has been interesting, helpful, useful. Thank you again to Kira for the inspiration. Again, check out Kira Drums on Instagram if you would like to go and see all the things that she's up to. She's fantastic. I love that woman so much. And yeah, if you have enjoyed this episode, please do feel free to like, share and subscribe. If you would like to support this podcast, you can over on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Emily Drums. If you would like to suggest an episode subject, sorry, losing the power of speech, go to emilydrums.com/AMA, as in ask me anything. If you would like to follow me on Instagram, you can go to @HeyEmilyDrums. And if you would like some one-on-one coaching so we can really tackle the things that you personally are struggling with your career, if you want to just get to that goal, whatever it is, we can make a plan, we can get you there. So if you go to emilydrums.com, you can book in for a free discovery call and we can see how I can help you. But anyway, hope you have a lovely day wherever you are, whatever you're up to, and I look forward to seeing you again for another episode. All right, lots of love to you. Bye.